Hi, this is Rich. How you doing? Hey, I'm going to talk about the astral war over humans as I do a commentary or a reaction video on this video from Cosmic Agency.
How are you, Yahzi? Anaka said you were depressed. That is her interpretation. I am contemplative, thinking, not here. You have a nice bubble there, in Finland. Bubble few have. My bubble is entirely in my mind. So the Taigetans here may see me walking around, but there is small percentage of Yahzi home in my head. The rest is gone. That is when they say they only see the little girl. Okay, let's talk business then. Where are you and what are you pondering? Feeling the situation. Noticing that there is a terrible war going on in the astral world, the place you all call the spirit side.
I've talked about the war in heaven a lot. Things going on beyond the physical world. I like to call it the greater reality, but we get lost in labels. But I don't know yet if this is what Yahzi's talking about, because there are different kinds of things going on in the astral. There's people being attacked while their body's asleep, and they're in the astral. Things like this. But this specific message, Yahzi's really keen on this and really understands this stuff and sees and experiences it. And I'm listening to get greater insights and understanding on what is really going on Earth. I've heard that from the Farsight Institute, they did a remote viewing, and there's astral entities or non-physical, in other words, beings that we can't see in the physical world, but they are the puppet masters of the popes. So you can go over to Farsight Institute and check out that remote viewing thing that they found. But the idea is that the controllers on the planet here are doing all these things they're doing, yet they are also working with or working for non-physical or astral entities or beings of some sort. So Yahzi's going to fill us in on the details, I think. I haven't listened to this. I haven't watched this yet.
Noticing that the CV plan is coming from a non-human terrestrial component.
A non-human terrestrial complement. In other words, a group that is non-human and terrestrial. Okay, got it. We'll get more into this.
Planning everything without excluding any guilt of the Cabal levels.
Okay, so we're not saying the Cabal levels aren't guilty. We're just saying, the super rich power elite, blah, blah, blah. But we are saying that those really running the show are non-human and terrestrial. Okay.
As I have explained before, the boundary between extraterrestrial and human, between non-human and human, is thin.
The non-human beings. Well, let's start with this. Let's say you're a human being, I'm a human being. Before we came into these bodies, we were in human bodies like this on other planets. There's gazillions of human beings on other planets. So beings will usually have an affinity for the kind of body that they are in, and they'll reincarnate over and over again, and they are like in consciousness a human being. Even if they didn't have a body, they feel like they're a human kind of person, and they have affinity, and they care for human beings on other planets, and all of this. So the Lyran is the source, or human beings have this Lyran ancestry, but we have human beings all over the place, right? So now, when a human being incarnates on Earth in a human body, that's normal, that's natural, that's the way it's supposed to work. And there has to be there's a frequency match or vibrational match between the being, the consciousness that is consciously being human in idea and belief and understanding and experience, right? So this being, even if they leave a body and now they come to Earth and they're going to be born into a human body on Earth, the human bodies on Earth are already a match, more or less, generally speaking, for the human consciousness. They are not a match for a reptilian consciousness or a reptilian ant, giant spider, mantis, or any of this. These human bodies, the brains, the neural network, is a frequency match for the consciousness that is humans. So, in the natural state of things, humans would be born into human bodies on a terrestrial human planet, right? But what's happened is that with high tech, non-human beings that are reptilians, beings that are insectoid, beings that are amoeba, just all kinds of creepy, crawly, anything at all, really. And they can be highly intelligent, and they can be loving and compassionate, or they can be greedy and regressive and all this crazy stuff, but they're not human in consciousness, and they didn't come from a human place or a human body on some other planet. They are non-human. But to get into a human body, they have to tweak it with high tech. They can tweak the body, the neural network, the brain, the cells, in such a way that they can match it up. So now that a non-human being can incarnate into a human body, but they've altered the human body. So now you've got non-human, terrestrial, because they live on the planet and they live in human bodies. They're non-human terrestrial beings in human bodies. And I'm sure there's the non-human terrestrial beings in bodies that are not human bodies on Earth right now, too. But that'd be another long discussion. But anyway. And I'm just sharing my reactions or my commentary as we go through this, and we may or may not get through the entire video. But this is an introduction to this message from Yahzi at the Cosmic Agency. And what you can watch this entire video without my interruptions on Odyssey, or there'll be some links down there. Okay.
It tapers out. It's vague, being that there are countless beings in between as links, and all the variants in between both extremes. So many people may see humans, but they are not inside. You know the drill. But starseeds are softer. These lack empathy.
Okay, hi, we're back. Handled the glitch. Let's continue. Backed up just a little bit so we can keep the flow going, but here we go.
As I have explained before, the boundary between extraterrestrial and human, between non-human and human, is thin. It tapers out. It's vague. being that there are countless beings in between as links, and all the variants in between both extremes. So many people may see humans, but they are not inside. You know the drill.
Yeah, they're not human inside. They look human, but they're not.
But starseeds are softer. These lack empathy totally. They only take what they want. And they are in mind half there in what you call physical reality and half in the spirit world, although they have a body, partially like me. So I cannot call them by a race. I cannot give them an identity. But they are not human, much less than Illyrian from space. They only work in a biological suit that looks as if it were a human.
Right.
These coincide with how David Icke calls the people who have inside a soul that is mainly reptilian. I say not only. I say mostly not be able to catalog as anything known. These are the tulpas and egregors coming from what the people generate as broken shoes, inhabiting human-like bodies, created by manifesting humankind's worst nightmares into a soul that you can give any shape as long as that shape is extremely evil. So that soul is manifested by the humans as a collective, from an individual level of course, then forming the tulpa egregor into a soul that will take over a body and become in itself a clan, a soul species that will and has taken over control over Earth. How do they manage to inhabit human bodies? They come taking over organic portals? Some do, no doubt. But they are already and have for a long time had their own reincarnation cycle into human-like bodies. Bodies that are compatible to them because they have been breeding among them, and with that inbreeding, they go accommodating those human-like bodies to their frequency needs. As they inbreed, they do have genetic problems, and those have been amply explained by researchers like David Icke. That is why they must take genes from others from time to time to cleanse theirs, as they did with Princess Diana, as he explains. I am not ripping this off David Icke. I am only coming to the same conclusion as he did, but from my angle. I mean, the man is darn right. But I arrived at the same conclusion from another angle, from the point of observation of the spirit side, because I saw how they were formed, and they were formed by direct action of manifestation of the human collective unconscious, that is a mind in itself.
Wow. Oh man, what a deal.
As I have recently explained, a person, a mind, conscious being of any sort, is made up of the addition of simpler minds that act as cells or neurons at B, not physical cells, but mental cells, that will in total add up to a larger conscious being that in itself will also add itself up with others, like levels, to form an even more expanded being, and so on and so forth, until you get to the level of source, becoming the all-aware everything.
It's a way to put it is we are a composite beingness, and from my studies, it's been like this for a very, very, very long time. It there literally can be other points of view, other beings have come together and merged, and now they have become one. They think they are one. One has a thought, the other thinks it was their own thought, and it stops being, there becomes a point where the two beings who have become one have stopped realizing or noticing that they are two beings who have become one, and they think the same thought together, and they have become one. Now they are at one. They are one with within themselves. And that's two, but you could have three, four, five, or many more becoming one in this way. Now, this is down here. Up here, the beings were individual, but even on a higher level, they were once again, they were one, having created themselves as many, like the source, considering many different points of view. It's like bilocation, except instead of seeing and experiencing life from 2 points, you can do it from millions or billions or gazillions as source consciousness. So that's what has happened. And so you are one point of view of this source consciousness. But this was like, let's say, long ago, this has happened. Or you could say many things have transpired since you became separate from source. You only became separate from source by consideration that the point of view that you are is not source. You forget, you not know, you do something like this so that you lose the understanding, awareness, the knowing that you are source. So here we are on planet Earth gazillions of years later, and we're being an individual, but between here and there, we've separated out into millions and billions of points of view and beings and beingness and experience from all these different points of view. We're being planets, we're being asteroids, we're being humans, we're being reptilians, we're being the consciousness, the source is being all of these things, and then individualizing, thinking from each point of view that it is itself. This is me, I'm not those people. And then the games of life ensue. So things start happening, and then as more things happen, the beings or the points of view become merged together again. So two beings who have been living separate lives for many thousands or millions of years have somehow come back together again. And it could be by force, it could be by accident, by decision, intention. Doesn't matter how they come back, but beings will start coming back together now that they've been playing out in the multiverse as different beings and entities. Now they start coming back together. And when they come back together, they merge in such a way that when one thinks the thought, the other perspective has the same thought. So they blend and they become one again. They think, the two think they are the one, or the many think they are the one individual. Now, when you're at this point of, when you're at this place, sometimes you want to get clear and free yourself so you can start freeing yourself learning about entities and entity release work. So you can release these different entities that got clustered together with you. They thought they were you, and their thoughts, you thought those thoughts were your own thoughts. And so it's come a mishmash of a composite beingness. So you can reverse that by doing release work and releasing these entities from your space. You wake them up and they realize they are not you, they are themselves, and then they go off and do whatever they want. Now, with all of that said, Yahzi seems to me is saying that there are many levels of beingness of these other beingnesses in such a way that when we level back up, we're way down here now, when we level back up to source, we start having the awareness, once again, conscious awareness from this point of view, that we are those others. That's a big leap. That's a pretty big conscious leap to know that this is me, and I know that I am this viewpoint here, maybe on Earth, maybe on a different planet, but it's alive in a biological body right now. There's more points of view than this one, kind of like Yahzi and her other points of view as Swaruu 9, 10, and 11, with her being Swaruu 12. Those are other points of view points of consciousness that is the same conscious being that is Yahzi. Okay, so we all have this within us, but we don't all have that knowing that we are others. We have other points of view. So as we awaken and level up in this way, we start realizing that we are these beings and these beings and this and this and this. And in this way, we become more and more aware as source. We are the being, we are the consciousness that is the source of all beingness. And we kind of level up like that. This is some pretty deep stuff. I hope my commentary helps you kind of understand it a little better. And let's just go from here. Because this life is played on so many levels. And we find ourselves at this point of view, feet on the ground, going, what? What's going on? And we're at a disadvantage in that we have limited perception and we cannot see into the astral. We cannot see these other entities or beings like some people can. All right, here we go.
Same here. Exactly the same. The collective mind of humanity, a mind on its own, caused into existence by the collective unconscious a set of beings or being, that in order to be in that human collective, they need to work through a human body. Example, the lizard queen, Gates, and all those. And as what brought them into existence and keeps them existing is human suffering, fear, and lower emotions full of uncertainty, as I mentioned, mainly fear, they must cause more of that in order to exist and thrive. In other words, if people as a collective, and it starts individually, remove their fear, not attention, from those that are hurting them so much nowadays, they will literally weaken their souls, the souls of those psychopaths in control of the Cabal and of whatever it is doing.
Okay, it's like when we're afraid of something, we think about it. From our logical perspective, we are thinking about the thing we're afraid of because we want to get away from it. We want to predict what it might do or the outcome of things. So what can we do as a strategy to survive better, get away from the pain or death, and move toward the pleasure or the survival thing? So we're thinking about the things and the threat, and we experience the fear, and the idea is to get rid of the fear by thinking about the terrible thing so that we can fix it somehow. But we often get caught up in just the worry and we go, well, I don't see a solution. But you're still looking at the thing you're afraid of. But the very fact of looking at it and thinking about it is recreating it. You have to recreate it right now in this moment for it to be experienced. But we have that whole thing on automatic, and it gives us our frames per second, so to speak, of our 3D holographic experience of life on Earth. It's like boom, 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 boom. Each frame is a 3D holographic creation of the moment, microsecond by microsecond. Boom, 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 boom. If we stop thinking about it, focusing on it, we stop creating it. We redirect our attention, talk about other things, look at the positive, do this sort of thing. If we could only do that, then we could start weakening the very existence of those tulpas and egregors. Those basically, a tulpa or egregor is a mind, an entity manifested by thought. So anyway, this is my understanding of what Yahzi's saying.
So I am not only talking about dark entities, astral demons, and jinns.
we're also talking about these bodies right here. These are manifestations of thought. So dogs and cats and people and your best friends and your own body and your friends and loved ones were all manifestations of thought, thus egregors or tulpas. We're going to look up tulpa right now. A tulpa is an entity created in the mind, acting independently of and parallel to your own consciousness. They are able to think and have their own free will, emotions, and memories. In short, a tulpa is like a sentient person living in your head, separate from you. Okay? Egregor, an occult concept representing a distinct non-physical entity that arises from a collective group of people. Historically, the concept referred to an angelic being or watchers and the specific rituals and practices associated with them. But they can also be the evil kind, the scary, freaky kind. Okay? All right, here we go.
I'm talking about dark souls that cannot self-sustain their existence without human suffering and human attention. Those with means of tulpa egregor manifestation mechanics, explained years ago by us. But as everything evil cannot self-sustain, having a strong tendency to self-destruct, they need to be fed into existence constantly by people with the so-called connection to source. But as everything evil cannot self-sustain, having a strong tendency to self-destruct, they need to be fed into existence constantly by people with the so-called connection to source. But that's also only partially true, because people with souls don't connect to source. They are source. They only forget they are.
Okay.
Therefore, falling into the illusion of having lost connection to source.
Let me share my thoughts on this thing about the difference between lost connection with source, which is a fallacy, and being source. There are people that are very good at daydreaming. They can daydream like a lucid dream. It's vivid. They can touch it and they can feel it and they can walk around in their 3D holographic imaginary world done purposefully, like the teacher's up there talking and writing on the chalkboard, and a kid can just like spin this daydream and step into it. I met several people that have this ability, and they are the source of their daydream world. Now they can create people, they can create cars, they can imagine electricity, lights going on and lights bright and lights going out, candles, so fire and wind and blue skies and mountains and trees, and they can touch it and feel it and experience it as if it was real. So what we can take from that is that these people, just regular people like you and I, they are the source of their reality, their daydream world. So in a similar manner, you and I are the source. It's not connected with source. We are the source of our reality. We've got it on automatic and we're thinking things and we have deep-seated agreements and beliefs about things, and they roll out and help us experience this while we pretend to not know what the heck is going on. But it's us. We are the source creating all this. Okay, here we go.
But that's also only partially true, because people with souls don't connect to source. They are source. They only forget they are.
Okay.
Therefore, falling into the illusion of having lost connection to source. This is what others, in an attempt to explain this, call Luch, that turns out to become some kind of New Age-like substance dark entities need to feed on. Not a substance. I am telling you all what it is. It is your personal and combined manifestation power focused on creating the negative by means of concentrating on what you all fear.
Okay, so in my words, my understanding of that is what we call Luch, this energy that the dark forces feed on, it is literally our manifestation energy. It's our imagination. It's that creative essence that we have within us that we use just by thinking. But we're thinking negative things. We're thinking about what's going on and how terrible, blah, blah, blah. And when we experience the fear and the worry and the concern and the hate and the anger and rage and all that stuff, and we imagine what could happen to us or the planet or the people, that creative energy of simply thinking it and feeling it, that emotional energy that we feel, we're pulling that from our own subconscious. That is our own conscious and subconscious essence of life energy experienced as a feeling state, fear. But it's our life energy. And it's in a certain vibration, a frequency, compression, and while we're thinking and focusing and imagining and visualizing and worrying about things. Be sure to watch this entire video without my interruption at the link below, and you can just find it on YouTube here, Astral War Over Humans. Okay? All right. Talk to you later.